You stand there in the cold, humming aisle of the supermarket, the fluorescent lights buzzing overhead like angry hornets, and you look down at that plastic bag in your hand. You can feel the weight of it, but it is a hollow weight. Inside, the lettuce is already turning a slimy, translucent brown. The strawberries are weeping red juice into the bottom of the container, soft and defeated before they ever reached your table. You paid good money for this. You worked hard hours to earn those dollars, trading your sweat and your time for the promise of nourishment, and yet here it is, rotting before you even had the chance to cook it. There is a specific kind of guilt that sits in the pit of your stomach when you have to scrape food into the trash bin. It is not just the loss of the money, though that stings enough. It is the feeling that you have failed in your duty to provide, that you have been tricked, that you are fighting a battle you do not understand against an enemy you cannot see. You wonder if you are simply bad at this modern life, if everyone else knows some secret code that you were never taught. But I am here to tell you that this failure is not yours. The fault does not lie in your hands or your heart. The fault lies in a system that has forgotten the old way. We have traded wisdom for convenience, and in doing so, we have lost the ability to read what the earth is trying to tell us. By the time you finish listening to me today, you will not just be a shopper, you will be a steward. You will have 15 verified rules, drawn from generations of plain living and confirmed by the science of how plants actually work, that will ensure you never bring home waste again. You will learn to see with new eyes. I am Isaac Beiler, and I keep house and farm here in Lancaster County the way it was handed down to me before the world got so fast. My grandfather taught me that a farmer does not fight the land, he listens to it. And a wise shopper does not fight the market, she understands it. If you value this kind of plain, practical know-how that the world is trying to bury under layers of marketing and noise, I would ask you to subscribe to this channel. It helps us keep these old traditions alive for the next generation, so that when our children's children stand in that same cold aisle, they will know better. Now, one honest word so you trust me. These tricks I am about to share with you are not magic. They will not make you rich overnight, and they will not turn a rotten apple into a fresh one. But they will stop the bleeding. They will save you hundreds of dollars a year, and more importantly, they will give you back the dignity of knowing that what you put on your family's table is real, it is whole, and it is worthy. You must understand that the modern grocery store is not designed to feed you. It is designed to move product. The bright lights, the music, the placement of the milk at the very back of the store. It is all a psychological map designed to make you linger, to make you impulse buy, and to make you forget that food is a living thing that dies. Big brands profit from your ignorance of biology. They sell you pre-cut fruit in plastic clamshells because they know it will spoil in 2 days, forcing you to return. They sell you bread with 20 ingredients because it stays soft on the shelf for weeks, long after its nutritional soul has fled. This system runs itself on waste. It counts on you throwing away 30% of what you buy. But plain knowledge costs only pocket change. It requires no special equipment, no expensive gadgets, only your senses and a little bit of patience. When you learn to shop with the wisdom of the harvest, you step out of their system and into the natural order. Let us begin with the first rule, which concerns the leafy greens. When you reach for a head of lettuce or a bunch of spinach, do not just grab the biggest one. Look at the core. In iceberg lettuce, if the core is brown or rusted, the decay has already started from the inside out. This is called heart rot, and it is caused by a calcium deficiency in the soil during growth. No amount of washing will fix it. You want a core that is white and tight. For bagged spinach, ignore the pretty pictures on the front. Turn the bag over. Look for condensation. If there is water droplets inside the plastic, the leaves are sweating. This means they are breaking down cellularly, releasing moisture as they die. That moisture breeds bacteria. Buy the dry bags, even if the leaves look slightly less vibrant. A dry leaf can be revived with cold water. A wet, slimy leaf is already gone. The second rule applies to berries, those delicate treasures that bruise at a whisper. Never buy berries from the bottom of the stack. Gravity is the enemy of the strawberry. The weight of the containers above crushes the cells of the fruit below, causing them to leak sugar and invite mold. Always reach for the top container. But more importantly, smell the container before you open it. Berries release ethylene gas as they ripen, but when they begin to ferment, they release a sharp, alcoholic scent. If you smell anything other than sweet earth, put it back. And once you are home, do not wash them until the moment you eat them. Water removes the natural protective bloom, a waxy coating the plant creates to keep microbes out. Washing early is like taking off your coat in a rainstorm. Third, let us speak of the avocado, the fruit that confuses many. Do not squeeze it with your thumb. This bruises the flesh beneath the skin, creating dark spots that will spread. Instead, hold the avocado in the palm of your hand and apply gentle pressure with your whole palm. It should yield slightly, like a firm handshake. Look at the stem end. If the small cap is missing and the hole underneath is brown, it is overripe and likely oxidized inside. If the cap is green, it is fresh. If it is black, it is old. This is because the stem acts as a seal. Once it falls off, air enters the fruit, accelerating the enzymatic browning that turns the creamy green flesh into a bitter mush. Science tells us this oxidation is rapid. Tradition tells us to trust the seal. Both agree. Check the stem. Fourth, consider the herbs. Cilantro, parsley, basil. Most people buy them in plastic ties and they turn to black sludge in 3 days. The trick is to treat them like flowers. When you get them home, trim the ends of the stems. Place them in a jar with an inch of water. Cover the leaves loosely with a plastic bag to create humidity, but do not seal it tight, or they will rot. Keep basil on the counter, not in the fridge, as cold temperatures damage its cell walls, turning it black. This is called chilling injury. Basil is a tropical plant. It fears the cold. Cilantro and parsley, however, love the fridge. By treating them as living cuttings rather than dead commodities, you extend their life from 3 days to 3 weeks. Fifth, we look to the roots. Carrots, beets, radishes. If they still have their greens attached, remove them immediately when you get home. The greens are photosynthetic engines that continue to pull moisture and sugars from the root to keep themselves alive. If you leave the tops on, your carrots will become rubbery and limp within days as they dehydrate themselves to feed the leaves. Cut the greens off, leaving about an inch of stem, and store the roots in a container of water in the fridge. They will stay crisp for weeks. This is simple biology. Separate the source of consumption from the source of growth. Sixth, let us talk about bananas. They are the most wasted fruit in America. Bananas produce high levels of ethylene gas, which triggers ripening in themselves and everything near them. If you buy a bunch, break them apart. Separate them. This slows down the ripening process because each banana is no longer bathing in the concentrated gas of its neighbors. Furthermore, if you wrap the stem of the bunch in plastic wrap or foil, you block the release of ethylene from the crown, where it is produced most heavily. This simple act can add 3 to 5 days of freshness to your bananas. And remember, a brown banana is not a bad banana. It is a sweet banana. Use it for baking. The starch has converted to sugar, making it perfect for bread. Nothing is lost, only transformed. Seventh, and perhaps most important, is the rule of weight versus volume. When buying meat, poultry, or even produce like mushrooms, do not look at the size of the package. Look at the price per pound. But more than that, feel the weight. Water is heavy. Many producers inject chicken with saline solutions to increase weight and perceived juiciness. This is called plumping. When you cook it, that water evaporates, and you are left with a shriveled, salty piece of meat. You paid for water. Learn to read the ingredient label. If it says, contains up to 15% solution, put it back. Buy the bird that lists only chicken as the ingredient. It may cost more per pound up front, but you are paying for protein, not tap water. The same applies to mushrooms. If they feel slimy or heavy for their size, they have absorbed too much moisture and are beginning to decompose. They should feel dry and light, like a sponge that has been wrung out. Eighth, consider the melon. Whether it is cantaloupe or watermelon, the sound and the scent are your guides. For a cantaloupe, sniff the blossom end, the opposite side from where it was attached to the vine. It should smell sweet and musky. If it smells like nothing, it was picked too early and will never ripen. If it smells fermented, it is past its prime. Then, press your thumb against the blossom end. It should give slightly. A hard melon is an unripe melon. For watermelon, look for the field spot, the yellow patch where it sat on the ground. A creamy yellow spot means it ripened on the vine. A white or non-existent spot means it was picked too soon. Tap it. A deep, hollow thud indicates high water content and ripeness. A dull thud means it is mealy and overripe. These are the signs the earth leaves for those who know how to read them. Ninth, when buying bread, ignore the softness. Softness is achieved with emulsifiers and preservatives that keep the starch molecules from recrystallizing. Real bread goes stale. Staling is not drying out. It is the retrogradation of starch. You can reverse staling by heating the bread, which re-gelatinizes the starch. But you cannot reverse the chemical breakdown of preservative-laden loaf. Buy bread from the bakery section that feels dense and has a crust that cracks when you squeeze it. Freeze half of it immediately. Toasting frozen bread restores its texture better than keeping it on the counter for 3 days. 10th, apples. Do not buy shiny apples. Shine is often wax, applied to prevent moisture loss and improve appearance. While safe, it masks the true condition of the skin. Look for matte finishes, and check the stem. A flexible green stem means freshness. A brittle brown stem means age. Also, store apples separately from other produce. Like bananas, they emit ethylene. One bad apple truly does spoil the bunch, not by magic, but by chemistry. It accelerates the ripening and subsequent rotting of nearby fruits. Keep them in the crisper drawer, alone. 11th, potatoes. Never store potatoes in the refrigerator. Cold temperatures convert the starch in potatoes into sugar. This results in a sweet, discolored fry when you cook them, and potentially higher levels of acrylamide, a harmful compound formed when starchy foods are cooked at high temperatures. Store them in a cool, dark, well-ventilated place, like a paper bag in a pantry, and never store them next to onions. Onions release gases and moisture that cause potatoes to sprout and rot faster. Keep them apart, like feuding neighbors. 12th, citrus fruits. Lemons, limes, oranges. They should feel heavy for their size. Weight equals juice. If a lemon feels light, it is dry inside, pithy, and useless. The skin should be tight and smooth. Wrinkled skin indicates dehydration. And while we often think of citrus as lasting forever, they do lose flavor. Store them in the fridge to slow down the degradation of vitamin C and flavor compounds. Room temperature speeds up the loss of acidity, making them taste flat. 13th, dairy, milk, and cream. Always reach for the back of the shelf, not just because it is colder, but because the stock rotation means the front bottles have been exposed to more temperature fluctuations every time the door is opened. Heat shock damages the proteins in milk, shortening its shelf life. Check the date, yes, but also smell the cap. Sometimes a leak in the seal allows bacteria to enter. If the rim is sticky, do not buy it. 14th, eggs. Open the carton, look at the shells. Are they clean? Are they cracked? Even a hairline crack allows bacteria to enter. But also check the date code. In many places, the Julian date is printed. The first 3 digits are the day of the year the eggs were packed. The lower the number, the fresher the egg. An egg packed on day 1 is fresher than one packed on day 300, regardless of the sell-by date. Freshness matters for baking, where the structure of the egg white provides lift. Older eggs have thinner whites and spread out in the pan. 15th, and finally, the rule of the seasonal eye. Buy what is abundant. When strawberries are cheap, it is because they are in peak season locally. Their flavor is highest, their nutrient density is highest, and their price is lowest. Buying blueberries in winter means they have traveled thousands of miles, losing nutrients and flavor along the way, and costing you a premium for the transport. Align your shopping with the sun's rhythm. It is the oldest trick of all, and the most effective. Now, let us speak of the philosophy that binds these rules together. Nothing is garbage. In a kitchen run with care, there is no such thing as waste, only resources waiting for their proper purpose. The carrot tops you cut off? Chop them finely and use them as a garnish like parsley. They have a bright, herbaceous flavor. The broccoli stems? Peel the tough outer layer and slice the tender core into coins. Sauté them with garlic. They are sweeter and more tender than the florets. The Parmesan rind? Throw it into your soup pot while it simmers. It releases glutamates, adding a deep, savory umami richness that salt alone cannot achieve. The bones from your chicken? Boil them with onion skins and carrot peels to make a stock that is richer than anything you can buy in a box. We have been taught to view food as a disposable commodity, but it is a gift. To throw it away is to insult the labor of the farmer and the life of the plant. When you use the whole vegetable, you honor the cycle. You stretch your dollar further, yes, but you also cultivate a mindset of abundance rather than scarcity. You begin to see potential where others see trash. This is the Amish way. We do not waste because we respect the source. Let us look at the numbers plainly and honestly. If an average family spends $1,000 a month on groceries, and they waste 30% due to poor selection and storage, that is $300 thrown in the trash every month. That is $3,600 a year. By applying these 15 rules, you can cut that waste in half, saving $1,800 annually. That is a vacation. That is a new roof repair. That is college savings. But the return on investment is not just financial. It is qualitative. When you serve food that is fresh, selected with care, and prepared with respect, your children learn to taste the difference. They learn that a tomato should taste like sunshine and earth, not like cardboard and acid. They learn to appreciate the texture of a crisp apple, the snap of a fresh bean. In a world of processed uniformity, you are giving them the gift of sensory awareness. You are teaching them to discern truth from imitation. This is a skill that will serve them in every area of their lives. I want to hear from you. Tell me in the comments below what state you are in, what county, and how old your house is. I read every word. It helps me know who I am speaking to, and it builds our community of plain thinkers in a noisy world. If you have found value in this guidance, please subscribe. It is a small act, but it signals to the algorithm that this kind of wisdom is still wanted. Next week, I will share with you a mystery that many of you have in your fireplace or wood stove, something you likely sweep up and discard. I will show you what a single cup of wood ash does to your lawn and your garden beds, and why it is one of the most powerful fertilizers known to man, free for the taking. Until then, keep your eyes open, your hands gentle, and your heart grateful.